resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my next level friend. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. This is a special edition episode in which I am interviewing artists from around the world as they are stuck at home during the coronavirus lockdown. Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. This is another of those special episodes that I'm doing, having conversations with artists from around the world as we all deal with these lockdowns and pretty much big cities around the world. And today I'm connecting here with my friend Alessandro Tomassetti. He's in the city of Barcelona. And we're going to have a chat, see how things are going over there, and also learn a little bit more about his work. So hi, Alessandro. How are you?
Hi, Sergio. I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for being here. Super happy that we can have this visual conversation. When I was in Barcelona, you were in New York, and we just haven't been able to actually connect face to face. But what a cool thing now, right? Even besides what's happening right now, maybe that was a good excuse for us to actually get on the camera and have a little bit of a conversation.
Yeah, I mean, given the circumstances, it's a nice alternative to be able to see each other.
Exactly. So tell us, Alessandro, a little bit first. You are in Barcelona. A little bit of how what's the situation there in the city for you?
Yeah, I guess it's today is a week that we've been on official lockdown. My partner and I went into lockdown on Wednesday last week just because we felt that things were turning. And in fact, overnight, it really changed. So the city itself, people seem to be following the rules. There's not a lot of people on the streets. You can still go out. It's not as restrictive as the Italian lockdown. But, it's serious and people are taking it seriously.
So at this point, like, are shops closed, like coffee shops, restaurants, clothing stores? So what's open for you guys?
Grocery stores, pharmacies, medical facilities are open, and I believe some restaurants are for takeout and that kind of thing. But takeout's not as big a deal here as it is, let's say, in North America. So probably a lot of restaurants, from what we've seen, have just decided to close for the time being.
Yeah. So it's been you said it's been a week of the lockdown for you?
Yes, a week, yeah. And, the news is kind of discouraging. I think today they hit over 1,000 deaths from coronavirus here in Spain.
Wow.
But truthfully, when you're inside, no matter how much news you consume, you're still a little bit protected from all of it.
Right.
And I'm still struggling a little bit with the feeling that I don't really know what's happening, which I think is
I think that's natural, as more as I have these conversations with artists, even with artists who have been in the lockdown for weeks. I spoke to an artist in China who she's been in lockdown for now, like almost a month. And, still, it's just something that it doesn't register in your mind, right? As we go through the kind of this transition of first like this big shock. And then now it's like, okay, what, it's hard to understand that there's a whole world out there and we're kind of confining ourselves to a space where we have to function, in some way or fashion, which kind of leads us to where you're at right now in your, that's your home studio. Tell me a little bit about how are you managing as an artist, this whole deal?
Yeah, I mean, I feel really fortunate because my studio's in my house. So my day-to-day hasn't really changed very much. It's like that meme that everybody's posting, like I've been preparing for this my whole life.
Right.
Kind of, being just, I love to work at home and I love my alone time. So it's actually fine. But of course, you have the onslaught of all the news and that has an effect. So for me personally, I've been kind of fighting, almost like opposing ideas. One is keep everything as normal as possible. So Get up, go to work, get dressed, first get dressed, then go to work, and just put in my regular time at the studio, and try to keep things feeling as normal as possible. And then the other feeling is to take this opportunity to really think of everything, analyze, what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, how I'm doing it, and see if there's a new way that can kind of come out of this as well. So I'm kind of approaching it from both points of view.
And I love that because we live, such a fast-paced life where we get out, we're out of the door, we're running, and we're like, it's like day by day to do like this is kind of forcing everybody to slow down. And as you say, I think this is a great opportunity for all of us to maybe, kind of do an inventory of our life and, what are the things that matter to us most, the people that maybe we haven't connected with. Like this morning, I was thinking I texted a couple of people that I haven't connected with because I've been so busy and like, well, I know they are at home, so maybe it's a good time to reconnect. And, this could actually, in the midst of it all, help us also, as you said, be mindful about, the things that we can do. And I love, those are two really good points that you made. I also love the idea of trying to live our lives and like get up and get ready and as if it's a regular day, because like the first couple of days, I have to tell you, I just was just on my pajamas all day, and now I'm getting up. I get ready as if I'm going outside. Of course, now because I'm doing the videos, I have to also look a little bit more decent. But that's also helping me out to say, well, we may be stuck at home, but we can make the best of it in some way or fashion.
I think that's absolutely right. I mean, it's obviously there's people that have jobs where they can't do at home, or they have children at home, and it makes it very complicated. But in my case in particular, it's really an opportunity to kind of just reevaluate and also just continue to work and introduce new things if I can. And I'm reading a lot, which is I think it's an opportunity to do all the things that you say you never have time to do.
So in terms of your work, so how are you using this time also to connect with others, with other artists or galleries, or in terms of the business part of your art, how are you doing that?
Well, a lot of my collectors are contacts through Instagram. And Instagram, for all of the problems it's created maybe in our society, it's also done a lot of good for artists, I think. Right. So I've been keeping up to date and with them. And I think another important thing about having a normal work day is to not interrupt your feed or your, there's people that are kind of interested in relying on the images that you put out. I know we're not saving lives, but I'm saying that there is something to that. And I think that if I started to paint paintings with people hoarding toilet paper, it's not really helping at all. So I'm going to my goal is to continue to make images that inspire the people that they inspire, or put a smile on people's faces or whatever it is, and stay in touch with people as much as I can. That's what I'm trying to do.
Fabulous. I think that's great. And yeah, the for as bad as they could be, the social media platforms are helping us to connect with each other, to keep track of each other, to also to anticipate what's happening in the world as this kind of thing continues to expand, and be prepared and be ready. So
I just want to say another thing that I tend to do when things get too digital is I go analog. So, I'm an analog photographer as well, but I started writing letters again. So I thought like right now I can't, I'm not probably in a position to post something that's going to change a lot of minds but I can change things for a few people. So I'm going to write letters, I'm going to send them out, maybe send a photograph, something that kind of like continues a connection. That's important.
Exactly. And I think for all of us as artists, this is a good opportunity to connect maybe with also past collectors who maybe we haven't heard in a while. I know that probably they're at home too. So maybe a quick note, something that just stays in touch. That would be good. So we are also sitting, and right behind you, there's some beautiful paintings. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your work for those or friends who do not know it? I will show here a couple of images of yours. Which one do you want to tell us a little bit about? First, what kind of work you make, and maybe introduce us to your work?
Sure. So, I'm focused mainly on oil paintings right now, and my subject matter is mostly men. Usually I'm kind of playing with the idea of showing them in a way that's more vulnerable and not as often seen maybe today. And the response to it has been quite good, because I think, there's sort of a reaction to this idea of toxic masculinity, you know, and somehow seeing men presented in a way that's vulnerable or softer is comforting in a way, I guess, even though some people might not find it appealing or attractive. But I think there's something comforting in that. And actually, it's been great for me because I've connected with, you know, a lot of different models who I work with. And in explaining to them what I'm doing, I feel like that's also putting out a little bit of a message, you know what I mean, that goes out into the world.
Got it. Wonderful. So tell us, do you want to share a couple of your pieces? Which one are we looking at first?
Sure. So, well, there's one behind me here, which is it's basically a model wearing sort of lacy pantyhose, but it's a very masculine pose. He's wearing, you know, a trucker hat, and I just love that kind of dichotomy between the masculinity and the feminine aspects, you know. And then on the flip side of it, something that I did very recently is a painting of another artist for a show that's happening at 33 Contemporary and at the Art Center. And we painted each other, so it was very interesting to be able to, first of all, paint a woman, which was, you know, I've done in the past, but it's been a while. But we also played with gender, so we swapped clothes in a way. So she's dressed as a man, and in my painting, her painting of me, I'm wearing something like lingerie with pearls and a lot of uncomfortable elastic things. But it was a really, really interesting process. And for me, it was kind of like a full circle moment to introduce women back into my work, but kind of in a tongue-in-cheek way, you know, playing with this sort of...
And that is very cool. And that's for the show, The Queer and the Muse, that's coming up as well. And you guys can already see a preview of that on our RC platform at 33 Contemporary. But so tell me a little bit more about, you know, because on that show, you know, kind of artists are painting each other, which is pretty interesting, as you mentioned. How did you select, you know, which artist to paint? How did you decide? Because, you know, when it comes to that, there's so many options, right?
There's so many options, but you know, it's a really funny story that the initial idea for this show, I believe Dee basically asked a question on Facebook: who would you like to paint you? Which living artist would you like to paint you? And Tanya responded with my name, and I didn't realize what was happening. I said, "Oh, that sounds amazing." And the next thing I knew, it was really happening, and we were paired up together, which was a perfect pairing because we both, you know, we have a similar aesthetic, but also we really love a concept. So when we started talking about concept, it just grew and grew and grew, and we were very excited about participating.
That's very exciting. Well, Alessandro, thank you so much again for being here with us today, for sharing your work, sharing what's happening in Barcelona. You know, we want to send big hugs to everyone there, to the art community in Barcelona. We had a chance to meet just a few of them when we were there. We hope to go back after this whole thing is over and maybe visit you in your studio and connect with more artists there as well. So tell our friends, where can they find you on Instagram, on Facebook, if they would like to see more of your work?
Sure. My handle is the same on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. It's So Says Sandro, spelled SOSASSANDRO.
Excellent. Fabulous. That's easy. And we will have the name listed here under the video so our friends can find it as well. And you can also find more of the work that we are honored to show at 33 Contemporary of Alejandro as well. If you follow us on Instagram at 33 Contemporary or go through our Artsy page there as well. We are very happy to be working with you, Alessandro.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Sergio.
Well, thanks our friends for watching. Please share this episode with your friends. That will make us really happy. Be safe during this time. We wish you all a productive day, and let's stay all connected as a community. Have a good day, everybody.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.